Whoa. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I got a cat meowing over here sitting on the floor, sitting next to me. She's just staring at me, meowing. I've got people texting me. There's a dog barking outside. Remember, I live in the middle of the city. I have no idea what's going on. I don't know if somebody's just walking it. There were just sirens until literally seconds ago. So all in all, pretty typical day for PSVR without parole, nonstop chaos. And just to add to the mix, my good friend and co-host AJ spontaneously self-combusted, exploded. It blew up. I don't know what happened. Like, just one day here, next day not. He's actually he's actually away. His mom's in the hospital. She just had surgery. He's with his brother right now, who obviously, if you guys were paying attention to the Saturday Night live stream, that didn't happen. His brother came into town, and they were spending time together, and luckily they're still together. They're going to head out and see their mom soon. So again, all the prayers, best wishes, everything for AJ and his family and his mother. Hopefully everything goes well. And on that note, this is going to be a show that I'm going to do all by myself. But I'm not going to be by myself because I've got all of you. So let's start the show. This is PS3 GameScast Live. We film live, rain or shine, cats or dogs, hosts or no hosts, every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here in PSVR without parole, 6 p.m. Eastern. Guys, don't forget that if you're not a fan of tuning in live, if you only want to see certain parts of the show, then our good friend Sci-Fi Gamecat Henry does timestamps for the show, and he does them after the fact, and I get them in even after that fact. So don't watch live if you're not interested in that, but timestamps do go live generally within an hour or two of the show airing. Thank you to Sci-Fi Gamecat Henry. Also, our good friend Jay Meow. Make sure that this show gets up on podcast services of your choice, meaning, I don't know, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I have no idea. I don't know any of the big ones. What do people even use? Like, tell me in the comments. Do people actually use podcast services? Do you guys have like a running list of podcasts that you listen to? What's the deal? Tell me. I need to know. This shit's important. It's not important because apparently if you upload it one place, it goes everywhere. And luckily Jay's got that taken care of. Bambino Ramos says 20 questions is going to be interesting today. It sure is. It sure is. One of you guys in the chat, think of a game, and this will be very interesting. I was actually thinking about playing it with you guys collectively and giving you like 100 questions because there's going to be so many repeat questions. So I'm just going to answer all the questions that come in as fast as possible, and then the first person that gets it wins. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know if that makes sense or not. Is that the dumbest thing ever? Donnie, the Scientist Game Cat says, yes, podcast is a good way to pass the time at work. It's good to hear. Markio, the Drifter Game Cat says, just YouTube for me. And Virtual Stranger says, hey, Guyson. And then Secrets of says, hey, Wes. These are probably not comments I need to be reading out. As you can tell, this is how shit's going to go without a co-host. It's going to be very, very casual, very laid back. I didn't. VR Demon says, "Get in there, Wes." And I will say, like, I didn't really ask anybody else because this was a show sort of custom designed for me and AJ. Me and AJ both have like a pretty fun history with the PlayStation Move on PlayStation 3, and we were going to do this Friday, but it's like it's way more of an AJ show than a Miles show, and we've learned over time that maybe certain shows are better catered for certain co-hosts. So that's sort of what I'm trying to do here is kind of cater the right show to the right place. But unfortunately, so much time and energy went into this show today that it was a little too late to come up with a different topic and grab Miles or grab somebody else. So rather than canceling the show, I said, hey, what the fuck? And this also gives you a good idea of sort of what happens once a month on Patreon, patreon.com/withoutparolegames. Don't forget, guys, you can support the channel in so many ways. If you want to support us financially, you can donate during the show, and we'll always read your tip, or we'll always try to read your tip. We've certainly failed at that before. So you can like derail the conversation if that's your thing. Also, patreon.com/withoutparolegames. You can just support us on a monthly kind of like recurring schedule. And we're trying to give you benefits to doing that. $3 a month gives you voice chat access on Discord. Remember, Discord's always free otherwise, and like barely anybody uses voice chat, so that's not a huge deal. But it also gets your name on that little scroll down below, and that goes by like 200 times an episode, 3 days a week. So that's pretty cool. And then, sorry, Bearded Power 666 says, could you just put a beanie on Tornado? Dude, if Tornado would sit still, I would absolutely get Tornado on the show. It would be the Brian and Tornado show, which is sort of what every other hour of my day is like before and after GamesCast. The AMAs for the $5 tiers. We're bringing back Why We Love episodes, and we're bringing guys AMAs. I've done I think 2 AMAs so far. It's generally 2 hours of this, except not really PSVR related. It's Ask Me Anything, if you guys don't know what AMA stands for. And I just sit here and we hang out and we talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Certainly divulged stuff about my personal life, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. So don't forget that that's certainly an option if you like to support the channel. And don't forget as well, if you don't want to support the channel financially, we're just really happy that you're here. And that means just as much to me as any amount of money. I promise you, we are so community focused here at Without Parole that like that's really what I care about more than anything else. And if you don't believe me, then go fuck yourself and have a nice day. I don't know. The other way you can support us is by changing your name on Google or YouTube to something the Gamecat, as people out there have done. This is AJ's segment, by the way, so I don't know how this is supposed to go. And we got 2 new people who have changed their name to Gamecat this week who have entered. This is not how it's supposed to go. The Gamecat Dojo. There we go. And the first one comes to us from, I swear it's right here somewhere. There it is. Bing! P.S. The VR, the Game Owl, who I don't know if you guys were paying attention on last week's show, but where is it? Here it is. That'll work, Boxable. There we go. So, P.S. Davey R, the Game Owl, changed his name last week, and then I said something on the show saying something along the lines of, but if you just capitalize some different letters, it'll say PSVR. And so there he was. He went and did it. Pretty awesome stuff. And then this week we also have Bing! Serial Killer, the forgetful Gamecat, who forgot to change his name last week, and we got him this week. Don't forget, guys, if you do happen to change your name to Gamecat because you love us almost as much as we love you, make sure you put #Gamecat in the comments below once you've changed your name so we can give you a shout out on next week's show. Let me get rid of all these dings. Let me get rid of the Gamecat intro. There they all go. Now let's try the game feeling with the $5 tip. Says, because you're working twice as hard today. Actually, yeah, we can go with that narrative. This doesn't feel like work. This doesn't feel like an official show, so I don't feel like I'm actually on right now. I didn't even really do anything with my hair. I just threw the hat on. I mean, I always just throw the hat on, I guess. But I really do feel like it's me in a bathrobe or something, and you guys just hanging out today. It's very, very laid back. But thank you. Let's pretend I'm working twice as hard. Brian Piccolo, the $2 tip, says, got laid off on Friday. Is that what FR stands for? Thanks for the entertainment. Dude, if you just got laid off, man, save your money. I appreciate you helping me out. But man, I think you should probably save your money until you are all safe and secure with your new job. Still appreciate it, though. Chairface says, are you tempted to play the Resi 7 mod? The Resi 7 mod, I'm assuming you're talking about the PC mod, the one where it's Resident Evil 7 VR, except it's actually like really, you get motion controls and the whole thing. I think Wes was telling me that you can actually just like pour the health shit on your hand to do it that way. So they really did kind of go above and beyond when it comes to like VR integration. Am I tempted? Yes, especially because this is such a slow time for PSVR, and there are amazingly done VR games out there for me to play. So I am very tempted. However, I am going to hold off. I promised myself that. I mean, just in my head, Sony's going to do everything right for PSVR 2. If they don't, I'm going to really regret not taking advantage of this downtime. Donatello, the Scientist Game Cat with the $5 tip, says, Brian Paul, PSVR OG. Always appreciate your dedication to the game. Thank you so much, Donnie. I appreciate your dedication to my game. Donnie's been around forever, and I certainly could not do this without his support. Wally is now a Game Cat, specifically a White Tiger with a Canadian $2 tip, says, we appreciate you still doing the show. I appreciate you still watching the show. I'm not sure how well this one's going to do number-wise. I have a feeling most people are going to tune in, go, what's happening here? And think, we're out of here. This is ridiculous. Where's AJ? We love AJ. If AJ's not here, we're not going to watch. Meh. You know who you are. Oh, my goodness. PPO, the Silent Hill GC PSVR 2 event, 23rd June. In the chat says, okay, now I finally changed my name. I don't even know what to tell you, man. Cerebral Frosted Boopcat, $20 tip, says, for the PSVR 2 savings jar. Thank you. Thank you. That is the first $20 to go into the PSVR 2 savings jar. It's funny, actually, while we're on the topic, I didn't really know, just how far down the rabbit hole we were going to go today, how casual we were going to make the show. It's feeling pretty casual. I don't know if it feels that way to you guys, but it feels really casual over here. So, I mean, I'm about to like light a fire and pour some wine and take the hoodie off. Get all cozy with you guys. But since we're on the topic, PPO Kojima asked in viewer takeover. Don't forget, guys, you leave your viewer takeover questions just by joining our Discord. Click the link in the description. Go to the viewer takeover channel and leave your questions there. We might not get to them right away. We won't get to them right away. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of save them all up. You know, like when you put a kink in a hose, and then one day it just comes all over the place. That's what we do with viewer takeover questions. PPO wrote, if PSVR 2 does come in 2023, when do you expect review copies to go to influencers in media? I don't know the answer to that question. It seemed like when PSVR 1 went out, like Kind of Funny and a few other media outlets like Giant Bomb seemed to have gotten them a couple weeks ahead of time. And then they were embargoed for a week or so, and then were able to kind of give their impressions a few days or maybe a week before it launched. So if they follow that same formula, I mean, probably just a couple weeks ahead of time, right? And if there's a lot of launch titles, then I think that's going to be a whole lot of work for any of the influencers or YouTubers or whoever that get a review unit. I don't think, like, everyone has been pretty gung-ho about me getting one. And if I do, then by all means, I'm going to be the happiest person on the face of the planet. I just don't see it happening. Like, when you look at the YouTubers who would cover PSVR, yeah, I'm there, right? Like, I might even be the first one that you think of, but there are people with millions of subscribers that cover everything PlayStation who that review unit that could go to me would be much, much better suited going to somebody else because that channel just has so many more viewers, and especially if you're trying to get the word out about VR too. To as many people as possible. I think Sony already knows that, like, you know, if Sony knows that we exist, which I guess they do because I've dealt with a lot of their PR people, that they know I'm going to buy one and I'm going to cover it, and that's all I'm going to cover. So I don't really know what my chances of getting one are. After that long rant. Super cool video, bro, with a $5 tip says, would you rather Nintendo Switch Pro insert headset, IR rings for Joy-Cons with PSVR 1 level graphics with Metroid Prime, Zelda, Ocarina of Time, etc. in standalone VR? Oh, wow, that was all one thing. That was all one thought. I was like, I'll figure this out. I'll just keep reading it, and eventually it'll make sense. But he's basically saying, would you rather have PSVR 2 or a Nintendo Switch Pro that you insert into a headset with IR rings, 4 Joy-Cons, PSVR 1 level graphics, Metroid Prime, Zelda, Ocarina of Time. Okay, and it's standalone. Dude, as much as I want a Nintendo VR headset, because I mean Mario Kart, that's it, Mario Kart 8. And the fact is like and not just Mario Kart 8. I guess the other example you gave was Metroid Prime. I don't know how much I really want to play like Ocarina of Time, or even Breath of the Wild, games like that. Like, those are really great in third person. Do I really want to play those in first person? Maybe. I mean, climbing would be fun. Exploration would be fun. Combat might probably be fun. Maybe. But yeah, PSVR 2 only because I love Nintendo. But we've sort of been dilly-dallying around this whole PSVR 1 era, aka Quest 2 era, sort of underpowered level of graphical fidelity era of VR graphics for way too long. Like PSVR 2 is going to be the real first next-gen VR headset most people are going to see. And because it's going to have like that level of support that like PC VR just never got, even though people have powerful PCs. Making like AAA games for PC VRs isn't, a sustainable business model. We got Half-Life Alyx, right? And so I think PSVR 2 is going to usher in this wave of AAA VR titles from AAA teams, probably because of the hybrid model more than anything else. But we're just going to see so many next-gen games that no matter how much I want a Nintendo headset, I feel like that is the easy answer. Chairface says, I want AAA, I'm melting shit. And I think that was very eloquently put. Just checking out the chat, seeing how you guys are doing. I also don't want Nick Howe accusing me of not reading the comments, because I do. He knows I'm joking. All right. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff here today, guys. We're going to talk about, obviously, PlayStation Move games from a while ago. I don't even know. What year is that? This is one of the things, as much as I love video games and retro games, and obviously like my whole life is kind of video games and especially retro, I don't know years. I know like PlayStation 1 came out in 1995. Is that right? Like, did it come out in 94 in Japan? I don't know years. And so like, I'd like to kind of, if I could learn one thing and just know it forever, it would be, and I'm like, most people would be like, what? I'd like to learn a new language. Oh, I'd like to like learn to cook, or I'd like a new skill. No, I just want to learn the years that all the different consoles came out and just have that, like, boom, when did your Game Boy Advance come out? Boom, got it. I don't have that, which is crazy. I always have to do some research. I have to Google everything. And I just feel like for as much as I love video games, I don't know the answers to those questions. Braxbro says, is this interactive chat with Brian? Yes, it is. And we've roped you in because there's no way you were going to watch it unless I said it was Gamescast Live. So there. What are we doing? Oh, yeah. This is ridiculous. So, I mean, I don't know. Let's get this out of the way. I think this is interesting, if nothing else. But obviously, there was a tweet from whether it's Sean Murray or No Man's Sky today, and all it was, or was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. It was just a whale. It was a whale emoji. That might seem strange to you, but that's not uncommon. Obviously, every time there's a big update coming to No Man's Sky, Sean Murray tweets out a single emoji and gets everybody. I mean, can you imagine the power, right? Imagine the power that you've created in the goodwill that you've created, where all you have to do is tweet out one emoji, and all of your fans just kind of lose their shit a little bit. Because all of the updates have been like pretty impressive, like really massive updates. It's like not like, oh, we added one new character to the mix, which, I don't know how big Hello Games is these days, but it really seems like they're doing a lot. Hello Games was the team that brought us Joe Danger. Was that the PS3 generation? Yeah, right. Because No Man's Sky was supposed to be an early PS4 game, so they've obviously grown quite a bit from the indie studio that they were. But every update that they bring is so massive that if all you need to do is tweet out a whale emoji, not even a picture of a whale, like an emoji, just like a little cute cartoon whale, and everybody loses their fucking mind. It's such great power, right? With great power It's a great responsibility, and I think they've taken that responsibility seriously. So obviously you guys know, like, I'm, No Man's Sky is not really my forte, but I did talk a little bit with Pacer today, and Pacer was telling me that, that the underwater stuff isn't, they've done some overhauls, but it's certainly still could stand to be improved significantly. And so who knows, man? Maybe there's like giant sea creatures now. Maybe there'll be like, maybe more of a underwater ecosystem, something a little bit more impressive, give you reasons to go diving. How crazy would it be? Like, I don't even know. Like, what? So maybe somebody in the chat tell me. Like, there are submarines, right? Because I remember playing submarines in one of the updates. So who knows? Maybe there'll be more vehicles to explore underwater. Maybe there'll be, maybe there'll even be like a metagame that they add for the underwater exploration. They've been really good about it. They've been really good about these updates, and I have promised myself that at some point I am going to just like dive in. We've got some time on our hands. There's a few things that I want to get done for sure, as far as PSVR is concerned. And one of the things that's on the list is like, let me check the list. Oh, it says line 3, learn to love No Man's Sky, because I don't know. I think at a certain point you go, well, everyone can't be wrong. So I'm certainly down. Nick Mulo says the submarine is really fun in VR. Good to hear. I know I used it, and then I got out of it, and then I think I drowned. Grizzly Bear King with a $3 tip says, is the future of light gun games VR? God, I hope so. God, I hope so. Like, it seems so natural, doesn't it? But the question is, when it comes to light gun games, like, so far we've gotten a lot of wave shooters. And a lot of those wave shooters are stationary wave shooters where you're just standing there and the enemies are coming to you. The enemies are attacking. I mean, and I could name off like probably 50 right now, and they'd all feel pretty similar. And then you've also got things like, Crisis Brigade, where you're sort of teleporting around. But again, it feels very wave shootery because like you have to kill all the enemies that come at you, and then only once they're all gone can you decide which way you want to go. And so I think the thing that excites me about light gun games in VR is how they're going to handle locomotion. Because Time Crisis back on PS2 had all these amazing moments where, like, you're doing the wave shooter thing where you take down all these enemies that are coming at you, and then as soon as that wave's over, it's like you're jumping over ledges, you're running down the street, you're like, there's a lot of movement going on. And I think a lot of VR developers are kind of scared to tackle that, sort of that element of it. And so it really becomes very wave shootery. Yeah, no, Gamecat's out of the glue bag. It says, don't forget to mention Bravo Team. And that's as much as Bravo Team as I really want to talk about, for sure. All right, Markio confirms that the underwater stuff is very lacking, so it'll probably expand on that. So that takes care of that. As far as No Man's Sky is concerned, Superfrost has giant freighter-sized animals in space. I think I've also heard people say that No Man's Sky could potentially give us living freighters, just like they have living ships. And I mean, everybody has seen or read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And so those memes are awesome with the whale crashing to the ground, right? Oh no, not again. That whole thing. So whales in space. Pretty good history. Sirens on my end. Shocking. Craziness. Cerebral Frost says, I mean, Time Crisis had you pop out of your body so you could just watch. Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, that sounds so much like Bravo Team. I don't want that to happen. I'm not even going to finish reading your comment. Anyway, what else we got here, guys? We got some other stuff to talk about. So I wanted to talk about PlayStation Move games, and I always want to talk about retro games, and I suppose at this point PlayStation 3 is retro, and it's kind of like fascinating to me. Like, I guess depending on how old you are, PlayStation 3 seems either extremely retro. Like if that was your first console, you're probably, I don't know, 20 right now, 20-ish, and that seems like a lifetime ago. But for me, it doesn't seem that long ago. PlayStation 3, not long ago at all. But I love talking about retro games. I love talking about older games, stuff that we don't get a chance to talk to on the channel very often. Still sirens on my end. Still dogs barking on my end. Tornado's not meowing though, so I guess that's a slight improvement. So talking about retro games. Anytime I can find any excuse to sort of to kind of shoehorn in some retro game talk into GamesCast Live is always a lot of fun for me, because that is like, before VR games, there was retro games for me, like such a huge passion for me. For a long time, I was a big collector. I've sort of killed the collecting part of it now. I just like want to enjoy the games that I have. Really do like that. And really like in everything that's old is new again. Anyway, right? It's if you go on Netflix right now, you'll find David Letterman interviewing people, right? I just watched the Billie Eilish interview last night and the Ryan Reynolds one, because I was on a kick. His show was great, and I didn't care much about watching a Ryan Reynolds interview or a Billie Eilish interview, but both of those were fascinating, and I've got a newfound love for Billie Eilish after watching the interview with David Letterman. Just really, really interesting. But on top of that, like it's God, what else? There was like Jackass 4.5 just came out. I'm like, what the hell is going on? The Kids in the Hall. There's a new season of Kids in the Hall on Amazon. Like, what is happening? Like everything, like it's almost like everything just still exists. Everything that you ever loved is like, it's just still going on. It's still happening. And so if there was some way for these PlayStation 3 Move games to find a new life, a new home, a new place on PSVR, PSVR 2, I think that would be very on brand, on trend with everything else that's happening in the world right now. So let's see. Let's get rid of this No Man's Sky trailer and bring up. I love this trailer. I really do. When PlayStation announced, when Sony announced PlayStation Move back in the day, Beat of Power. I just watched Jackass 4.5 today too. Not the whole thing. I just got a sample of it. And like seriously, in the first 10 minutes, you're like, Jesus Christ! Like nothing's changed. like is it still fun to watch old dudes try to hurt themselves? The answer is yes. When PlayStation Move was announced, I remember, and this is just my Swiss cheese brain kicking in here, but I don't remember whether I had a Wii and was like reluctant to buy games for it, and it just like, really wanted to play those games on PlayStation, or I didn't have a Wii, and when PlayStation Move was announced, I thought that I was like, oh, now I don't need a Wii. This is great. This is the perfect storm, right? It's like, okay, for all my motion controlled games, I know they're going to port all these great Wii games over. I'd heard good things about Zack and Wiki, and I was like, of course, it's Capcom. How could they not bring Zack and Wiki over from the Wii? They didn't. And so I really thought, because I've always been kind of like into the idea of more immersive gaming. And so motion supported stuff like this seemed really cool to me. It's like you're kind of in the game. And as you guys know where this went, it obviously ended up, the moves and light tracking and all of this ended up being used with PSVR. So the immersive gaming got to a point where I was, really happy with it eventually. But I was super excited about the Move because, again, I didn't want to buy a Wii. And I just thought that Sony was going to absolutely kill it. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if anybody was going to be able to kill motion gaming, like on a flat screen. I don't know if anybody had the proper tools to do it right. I don't know if the technology was there at the time. And I don't know if anybody was willing to put in the money that would be required to make a fantastic, Move game. And when I say Move game, I really mean anything that like tracks your movement, Connect or anything else. Luffy the Underground Gamecat with the €2 says AJ is reasonable as never before. He's definitely, his 2 cents on this on today's show. It comes in the form of text. He said, for the record, he sent me a text before the show. For the record, my PS3 Move picks are Resistance 3, Killzone 3, and House of the Dead Overkill. So, reasonable. I agree, Looper. Very reasonable. So yeah. So I was super excited to buy one, and I kind of thought that everyone else was really excited for the PlayStation Move as well. I I mean, and I overestimated that by about $1 billion. I thought that PlayStation Move was going to sell out. I thought that everybody was excited about it. Everybody's going to be like in this exact same boat that I was, thinking, "Hey, I don't need to buy a Wii. I can just buy this instead." And so I remember my ex and I got up to go to Best Buy on launch day, because it's before like Amazon or like, shit was just shipped to your house on release day. Like you generally went to stores and like had to buy stuff, which is also how I met Jeremy King. So, not really the worst thing ever. And so I remember we got to Best Buy, and it was sort of overwhelming because they had this huge display and no one had bought a single one. There was nobody there also curious. There was no one like going, "Oh, what is that? Oh, what's that?" No, it was just the two of us standing there going, "What are we supposed to buy?" And it was a little confusing, right? Because there was the nav controller, there were Move controllers, and then you're like, "Well, how many Move controllers do I need to buy?" And you could just buy one, and I think you could buy a bundle with Sports Champions that came with a Move controller and the camera. And I was like, "Is that all you need?" And it seemed like not enough, right? And so then I was like, well, if there's two of us, we need 2 Move controllers each for some of these games. So then you're looking at buying 4 Move controllers and then maybe a nav controller or 2, and then games and the camera. I mean, it got to be real expensive real fast, but I was like, it's launch day. I was like, we just got to kind of like suck this up and do it. And so we did. We spent a lot of money that day on Move stuff. So I was all in, right? And Move games seemed like they came in 3 different types, I think, throughout the course of the brief PlayStation Move history. There were games that were exclusive to PlayStation Move, like that required the PlayStation Move. There were games that had Move optional, whereas like they were designed with the Move in mind, but you could totally play it with the DualShock 3. And then there were games that got the Move support patched in later. And man, the games that got the Move support patched in later, like most of them, to my recollection, were really bad. Really, really bad. I think that there were, I remember like so my dad and I used to play a lot of video games together. We still play occasionally, but it was a weekly thing. Like I'd come over to his house once he retired. I'd go to his house every single week. We'd make lunch. We'd have a beer together. We'd watch an episode or 2 of Star Trek Next Generation. We'd play some video games, and we played Hot Shots Golf Out of Bounds. That was one of the ones we played religiously. Fight Night Round 4. And then once Move became a thing, we actually played Move games. My dad bought the Move as well. So really, really interesting. So sorry, Alberto Mapam of the Gamecat Dojo says, did you ever play the Harry Potter themed Wonder Book of Spells? Yes. Actually, I didn't pull it out. I pulled out a few things for demonstration today, but I do have Wonder Book. I think it's in my closet, and I think it's like complete in box and everything. And I really I'm pretty sure I didn't buy it new. I'm pretty sure like I bought it like when it was like on clearance or something for like $10, and I only tried it once. And I will say that the Wonder Book stuff, which basically used the camera but not really the Move controls all that much, was pretty cool AR, right? Augmented reality, where the camera was just basically like creating stuff from the pages that it was looking at. And I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, not so much for me, but my nephew was really young at that point, and I think he appreciated it. I think he thought it was pretty cool. So Book of Spells, and then I think there was at least one other Wonder Book, right? There was like a Walk with Dinosaurs or something, which I never played. Wonder Book, a whole nother element of this that we're not even going to touch on more than we just did. so my dad and I would play Hot Shots golf every week, and so we were like, this is going to be so cool. You're going to be able to like swing, like actually swing the golf club instead of just tapping the X button, and then when you're putting, you're going to actually be able to putt, like you would expect. And it was just so poorly implemented, or we couldn't get it to work properly. Maybe. So we were so disappointed, and it was because it was patched in after launch, and it just seemed like they just didn't get the hang of it. So that being said, though, there were some really good things, and I think that I already saw some people in the chat talking about the Sharpshooter, right? And so I pulled my Sharpshooter out, which, I mean, sort of like, here, hold on a second. Can I do this? Is that a thing? No, see, I'm not there anymore, am I? Where did I go? So this is what happens when no one else is here. I mean, you guys are here, but you know what I mean? Let's see. Oh, wow, I'm huge. I did not mean to be this huge. Here, let's be less huge. Less huge in the works. I'm just trying to get you guys a better picture of the Sharpshooter. There we go. All right. So the Sharpshooter, right? It seems like just like a silly piece of plastic, but it's really, really well designed. And so and it allowed you to play first-person shooters with the move controls and the navigational controller. So what it is, here, shorten that up a little bit. So the move controller plugs in the very top of it, right? And it actually plugs in. So it's not just like, I don't know, if you've ever used the ones, like the little handgun ones, where you pull the trigger and all the trigger is doing is pulling the trigger on the move controller physically. It all feels really clunky, but this plugs in. And so it's actually, so you've got the trigger down here, and it's not just pulling the trigger on the move controller, and you've got buttons all over the place that are like just digitally recognizing the move. And then you've got the nav controller on the bottom that just like clicks into place there. And so really what you have is a really primitive aim controller that came in 3 parts. The Sharpshooter is, I mean, pretty damn cool. And you could play, Resistance 3, you could play Killzone 3, like the entire game with the Sharpshooter, like from beginning to end, which was, I mean, to me, it was a little bit of a hassle because they hadn't quite nailed everything very frequently. So if you're playing, right, it's like if you wanted to turn, like I think you could strafe with the analog stick, but if you wanted to turn, I think you had to like drag the cursor to the side of the screen and like pull your vision to the side, right? And so you're constantly doing this as you're looking around. And so it wasn't perfect, but the amount of precision that it gave you in order to, while you're playing a first-person shooter was sort of unprecedented. I thought it was really, really cool when they did it. And so I think in the fact that at least one of those games, I think Killzone 3 was a 3D game, right? Like it actually had 3D support. Is that right? Do I have Killzone 3? Maybe not in this pile. I have a ridiculous pile of games here, by the way. I pulled out some move games from my collection, and like you would think I'd pull out the good ones, but I'm like, no. We need to talk about Kung Fu Rider, right? This one's sealed. I have no idea. This is not my original copy of it, and I have no idea where the original one went. This is sealed. I'd probably get it for like $3 or something on clearance somewhere. Otherwise, why the fuck would you buy a copy of Kung Fu Rider sealed? And Kung Fu Rider was a game where you were a Japanese man riding down a hill in an office chair, and you were like trying to avoid obstacles and jump and get out of the way and shit. No reason whatsoever it should have been a move game, and just on top of all of that, it wasn't a move game in Japan. They brought it to the US, I think, just to have another launch title, but it didn't have move support in Japan. I'm assuming that got patched in later, but it wasn't designed with the move. And so like here they are, they're like, oh, here's a PlayStation Move exclusive game that wasn't actually designed with move. So I do feel like some of their launch lineup was a little bit haphazard. But man, yeah, Kung Fu Rider. If anybody doesn't know what game that is here. Can we go back to the small screen? I'm feeling a little big. There we go. Yeah, pretty crazy. Superfrost says, I know we're talking about the moves, but Metroid Prime on the Wii was very good as a gyro-controlled shooter. Dude, I think the Wii and PlayStation Move did a lot of great things as far as motion-controlled games went. I don't know in retrospect, like was it all a little bit gimmicky? Yeah. Would my enjoyment have been even better having played these games with the DualShock 3? Yeah, right. But I had bought these and I was invested, and I was like, I want to, I want to play these games in the coolest possible way. And I do think that in that regard, I probably got my money back in terms of enjoyment. But it launched with, and this is very similar to the Wii story. It launched Sports Champions, right? Sports Champions is no brainer. It's the thing that's playing down below right now. Sports Champions was a collection of sports games, and it was so good at what it did. I do feel like there's a little bit of the whole Wii Sports problem, meaning like you didn't really need too many other move games because Sports Champions was done so well. And I remember like in the ones that I enjoyed the most, like playing with my dad a lot, were the ones that you wouldn't expect to have enjoyed as much as you did, like Bocce Ball, right? I forget what it was actually called. Hold on, I got the box right here. All right, so it's disc golf, beach volleyball, which, by the way, I've played the crap out of Sports Champions, and I don't even remember what beach volleyball looks like, meaning that was not one of the better sports. Archery, table tennis, gladiator duel, and bocce. Oh, they do call it bocce on the box, but I feel like in-game they call it something else. If you don't know what bocce is, I think that's the Italian name for it. You throw a little ball onto a court, and then everybody who's playing has their own set of balls, and they like roll their balls or throw the balls to try to get as close to the little marker ball as possible, and then you end up knocking each other out of the way, all that stuff. And so they had designed so many cool courses for that, or so many cool courses. Yeah, I mean, I guess courses, right? They were like loop-de-loops and all sorts of like strange playing fields. Whereas like a typical bocce course is just like a long rectangle. These had all sorts of things going on. They really video gamed the fuck out of it, which was great. And so we ended up playing that a lot. And let's see, disc golf. I think disc golf was the other one we ended up playing a lot because here it is. All you're doing really is throwing a frisbee. Not terribly known. Here, I know, and we'll get to the point of this eventually. Is there a point of any of this? I don't know. There's probably not. Sports Champions 2. I don't think a lot of people even know this exists because like I've never heard anybody really talk about it. It's got skiing, tennis, boxing, bowling, golf, and archery. So probably just a different version of archery. I don't even really remember, to be honest with you. But all again, pretty cool. I remember the golf game being pretty good in this. So when we get back to the actual topic of the show that we're on, which is which PS3 games, Move games need to be remade in VR, I don't think, as good as Sports Champions is, I don't think the answer is Sports Champions, because they were done so well, or well enough, that it was sort of like a sampling of each sport, and we were almost like, well, we'll just play that course again. We'll play that course again. We'll play that course again. And we never felt like we really needed to go get a, I don't think anyone ever made like a full-fledged golf game. Now, I'm sure if we go back and we check Wikipedia or anything else, or maybe somebody in the chat knows, I'm sure there's probably a Tiger Woods game with the Move logo on the front of it, right? But was it really made for the Move? No, I don't think I ever saw a great Move game that Move golf game that was done 1-to-1, right? Where like while you're swinging, like, you know, I mean, everybody's golf VR nailed it. It was absolutely perfect. But anyway, like, so again, what I really think needs to happen with PSVR 2 is we need to break down every single one of these sports and make a full game out of it. Like, make a campaign, make you know, custom characters, make sure that we have multiplayer, obviously, because we're going to be playing this shit online, and that all works great in first person. And so, you know, disc golf, obviously, like, how is it that, like, how here we are 6 years into PSVR 1, the lifespan, and we don't have like a real disc golf game? Like, we have Rec Room. Rec Room gave us a cool disc golf game. But you know, it looks like Rec Room. It plays like a Rec Room game, which is fine. But like, I don't know, like, give me some really realistic scenery and really nail those physics and do everything in first person. These games don't need to be $60 games each, but you know, if there are people out there willing to make a $20 game, and really nail the formula, I think you could break down Sports Champions 1 and 2 into about, I don't know what, like 7-8 different games, and give us a full campaign and really knock each one out of the park. Darth Vader, the Gamecat, with a $2 tip, says, did AJ turn himself into a cartoon? Yes. Yes, he did. Wally does a Gamecat, specifically a White Tiger with Canadian $2 tip, says, a 10 sports online game for PSVR 2 would be great. Right. So the other part of this, while I'm saying that, hey, I don't actually want Sports Champions remade into VR, that's also totally fine, as long as we get it somehow. and it'd be great also if we could jump into Sports Champions VR together, and just be able to bounce around each sport pretty quickly, right? Be like, hey, you want to play golf for like 30 minutes, and then we can jump over to boxing, and then we can jump over to bocce ball, and then we can jump over to, you get right. And so that way you're not like having to load up a separate game every single time. And so there is definitely an argument for just Sports Champions VR. And I think that would be pretty damn cool. So I think the easy answer to today's question is Resistance 3 and Killzone 3. Right? Even just, and while we're at it, let's just get the both of those entire series in VR. Right, these are PlayStation 3 games. We're not dealing with, like, you know, the highest texture quality of all time. We're not dealing with anything. But like, and I really think with PlayStation 5, it doesn't even matter at that point. I think we're going to be able to get, you know, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 quality environments and animations and everything else running at a fast enough frame rate. It's going to look gorgeous. That it doesn't matter if a game was initially on PlayStation 3. I think Killzone 1, 2, and 3 need full remasters. I think Resistance 1, 2, and 3 need full remasters. Bring all of that into VR. And then the big question is how is that going to work with the Sense controllers? Like, are we really, obviously, when you talk about two-handed weapons, one of the biggest problems on PlayStation VR 1 was were that the move bulbs were always in front of each other whenever you were looking at the camera. If the camera was right in front of you, it couldn't see one ball in front of the other. One would always occlude the other. And then your tracking would freak the fuck out. It's not going to be a problem on PSVR 2, but without an aim controller, I'm a little bit curious. I'm a little bit curious to see how two-handed weapons are going to feel. We've seen it work. You know, we've seen it with Gun Club, and it works pretty well. There's been multiple things on Quest that show it off, and it works pretty well. But pretty well, right? With the aim controller, it feels like you're holding the gun. With the Quest 2 controllers, or I'm assuming how it'll work with the Sense controllers, I feel like there's a little bit of playing make-believe, right? Whenever you cock a shotgun, you're like, you're just going to pretend that you're doing it. And it's a little bit too much playing make-believe for me. So I'm curious to see how, what can be done to kind of like mitigate that a little bit. I'm really hoping that there's some, whether it be a third-party peripheral or Sony makes a first-party peripheral, whereas as long as you can attach the orbs to something, the Sense controllers call them orbs for so long, you can attach it to something that feels like a gun, right? It feels like a two-handed weapon. I don't think I don't think that's too much to ask for. I think that could just be a couple pieces of plastic. It doesn't need to be a big deal. Yeah. Oh, Cerebral Frost said it. Would Sony sell some kind of official mount for the orbs? Absolutely. I mean, I don't know if they're going to, but why wouldn't you? Right? Some third party's got to have to do it, I think. Daryl Bird says Fight Night Round 3 is one of the best sports games ever. Yeah. I can never remember if it was Fight Night Round 3 or Fight Night Round 4 that I used to play with my dad. But the announcers, God, what the fuck were the announcers' names? Maybe Bird, help me out, bud. It was Teddy something and Joe Tessitore and oh crap. We would have laughed so hard at the commentary in that game. I mean, it would just be so out of left field. It wouldn't seem to make any sense, and we would just die laughing. And there was so much of it. We probably had 100 hours into that game, and we were still hearing. Occasionally, we were like, "Was that new commentary? Have you ever heard that before?" And they just spout lines. But I mean, I was really hoping that you were going to respond to me, and not wrap up. Fight Night, yeah. See, Fight Night Champion is when I was like, this doesn't have the same feel for me. I wasn't loving it. What are we talking about? I don't know. Shareface says, I wonder how legit the PSVR 2 event rumors are. I'm dude. As far as I'm concerned, Teddy Ruxpin. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know who to believe anymore. There's been all sorts of misinformation out there for a very, very long time. I think some of it intentional and some of it not intentional. Some of it, leakers. Some of it, whatever. Won't go into details, but I really do hope, man. I really do hope because I mean, so June. Does anyone have an answer for me? Really? No one has an answer about the comment? I should just Google it. Because no one knows the answer to the question. Joe Tessitore, you remember the same one as me. All right. Well, thanks for trying. I appreciate it. I guess I could Google it, but how will I sleep tonight? I'm totally lost. I don't even remember what we're talking about, which is totally fine. All right. Anyway, so, but yeah, I mean, we could talk about the other games that need to come to PSVR or PSVR 2 or VR as a whole. Dead Space Extraction, Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles, Dark Side Chronicles. You got to remember that like when PlayStation Move came along, most of us had adopted HD televisions at that point, and it sucked when we all realized that we plugged in our PlayStation 2s and they didn't look very good because they needed to be upscaled. And in 2, you plugged in a GunCon 2 or a GunCon 1 and it just didn't work. It didn't register. And so PlayStation Move was sort of like the answer for that for a little bit. And so being able to get all of these light gun shooters with the PlayStation Move was sort of like a godsend. But like, oh, sweet, we have a way to do this. But again, it's like, but with the moves on their way out, it'll be really interesting to see if we're able to get some of these games in VR. As somebody who doesn't make games, you're like, well, how difficult could it possibly be? Right? Everyone's talking about the new House of the Dead, remake. And those developers have said, hey, we're going to add move support, to the PlayStation 4 version, which is pretty cool. I think I want to say it's the only PlayStation 4 game outside of VR that has move support. There's got to be one or two that I'm missing, but that is pretty cool. And so you're like, well, how hard is it to put it in VR? It's like, everything is difficult apparently. Proper Job said PSVR never lived up to its potential, and PSVR 2 is just taking too long to arrive. Proper Job, I am 100% with you, and I think most of us are with you as well. I think PSVR we saw the problem is we saw the potential right off the bat. Within 3 or 4 months of PSVR 1 launching, we got Resident Evil 7. You could play the whole game in VR. It looked stunning, even with like the forced foveated rendering on the OG PS4, which was thankfully removed on the Pro and the PS5. It just looks stunning, right? And you saw how good it looked, and we're like, oh, every game's going to be in VR, and I think it set up this expectation that we were going to be able to get games like BioShock or Resistance or whatever. Every PlayStation 3 game ever made is going to get a VR version, and it just sadly didn't happen for various reasons. But then you see games that came out later, like Golem, and it's so beautiful. Like the resolution is through the roof, the detail in the environment's through the roof. It's this big open world. And it's just, you're like, how the fuck didn't we get more games like this? And it's kind of maddening, honestly. And then even like Wanderer, talking about more recent titles, where you're just like, this is, these studios are figuring things out, and they worked magic. They worked some real magic. So while I do agree PSVR 2 is taking too long, I think when it gets here, it's going to be just stunning, and it's going to blow away everything else that we've been playing for the last quite a bit amount of time. So PSVR 2, man, it's I mean, anyone who's underestimating it right now, saying, oh, it's too late, the technology is already outdated since they announced it, which is, as you guys know, not true. It's going to, there's a lot of people like to be, a lot of people are angry, so I feel you. But I think a lot of people are overreacting to the wait. And that's coming from the guy who makes his living running a YouTube channel about PlayStation VR, and in a time where not many people care about PSVR, I'm sort of banking on PSVR too. So it's coming from me. I still think that people are overreacting to the delay or to the wait. It sucks. We all want it now, but that also speaks to how cool we think it's going to be. If we didn't think it was going to be fucking next level, we wouldn't be very upset about it not getting here, because most of us would be like, oh, we're probably not going to buy it. So I don't know. Try to keep that in mind. And it's hard to stay positive when you're just sitting here waiting for something that you really, really want. It's almost like, I don't even care what happens in 2022. Just get 2023 to be here faster. Seriously, there was a whole South Park episode about what Cartman couldn't wait for the Wii. And so it's been a long time since I've seen this one, so I know I'm going to get the facts wrong. Did he go into a cryo sleep or something like that so that he could wake up when the Wii got there, because he didn't want to wait for it anymore. He couldn't handle the wait, and I feel like that's sort of where we're all at. And and honestly, if somebody was like, Brian, take this pill, go to sleep for 6 months, and by the time you wake up, pre-orders will be open, and we'll know everything we want to know about PSVR 2. I'd be like, I would seriously consider taking that pill. And plus, you'd probably lose a ton of weight while you're hibernating, which is, priorities. These are the priorities, you guys. PSVR 2 and hibernating. And plus, I wouldn't have to deal with summer. I fucking hate summer, man. It's too goddamn warm. Luckily, it's a nice cool day today. I get to wear a hoodie. Probably the last hoodie I get to wear for the rest of the year. Was that a good show? Did we just have a good show? Or was that the worst thing ever? I don't know. I don't know if it was good or bad. But I'm really glad that I get to spend it with you guys. Cherry says if they said they moved it to 2024, it would be over. I don't know why anybody would think it's going to 2024. Anyway, it's don't worry about it. That's not going to happen. People, there's some people who still think it's coming this year, so good on them, I guess. I'm picking. Don't mind me. You guys talk amongst yourselves. I'm gonna pick out a game for 20 questions, and this is gonna be a shit show. It really is. It's gonna be horrible, and I can't wait to see how chaotic this is gonna be. I think it's gonna be great. Yeah, I'm gonna pick out a PSVR game. Yeah, this is gonna be hilarious. Hopefully, you guys don't need all the questions I'm gonna give you. think I got it. Okay. You guys are going to hate me so much after this. I might hate myself quite a bit after this, to be honest with you. Looper the Underground Gamecat with a €2 says, great show, Brian. It's time for PSVR 20 questions. Indeed it is. Are you guys ready for this? I don't know if I'm ready for this, but here we go. I've got a game in mind. I'm not going to put a timer up. I'm not, because, come on, it's so ridiculous. But I'm going to give you guys 100 questions. Because I'm going to answer every single question in the chat. So don't waste questions, you guys. It's 138 people watching right now. Just because you're watching you shouldn't waste questions. Like, try to work together. And I'm going to start at the very first question that was asked. So let's see. Let's head on over here. You guys can see my hands a little bit better. Hold on, real quick. Wally is now a GameCat Ram, specifically White Tiger with Canadian $5 tip, says Sony intends mainstream VR, but with supply issues and most early adopters being hardcore gamers already owning PlayStation 5, I don't think Sony should delay. Understandable. And trust me, again, I wish it launched with the PlayStation 5. So we're all on the same page. Okay, how far back do I have to go? Where's the first real question? I'm not counting your question, all you are is history. First, Ian Stanford says, this can only go badly. I am with you. I am so with you. Thank you, Michael VR. I really appreciate the nice comment. Okay, James Moore asked the first question. Is it Trover? No, it's not. Don't worry, you didn't lose. We're not going to play by the normal rules. I'm scrolling down. Miles Dyer with the 17.99 quid says, great work today, dude. Thank you so much. Here, I gotta bring up my other window for questions. Oh my God, there's so many questions. Is the primary thing you're doing shooting? No, all you are is history. We'll skip Michael Lee's because that's to have full locomotion. Ian Stanbridge asks. I will say technically yes. It's not teleportation. And if I really don't focus on that because that's not going to help you. Is it an online multiplayer game in any form? Gamecat's out the glue bagger. No. Vargosoft says, does it have dogs that can be either good or bad? No, that's 5. Oh man, this chat's moving too fast. Looper says, is it a shitty game? No. Braxbro says, have they made other PSVR games? No. Genetic Blasphemy asks, is it Dreams? No. Stupid Donkey says, has it ever been on a top 25 list? No. I did have to think about that. Movemaster Mick will skip your question because I just answered it. Looper asks, does it have Dargans? No, that's 10 questions. You guys are 10 questions down. Chairface says, does it involve Mervils? No. I will skip some of the ridiculous questions because it's definitely a PSVR game, Ian Marsh. So in case this is your first time playing, it's PSVR. Looper the Underground Gamecat says, is it horror themed? No. That also answers Nick the Gamecat House question. Nick the Gamecat How said, is it a puzzler? Yes, it does have puzzles. Zach Lightning says, does it have forced blinders? No. Niles Ryan says, is it a fucking? Does it? I don't know what that question means. I can't answer that question. I don't know if it's a fucking. Is it a fucking? Does it? Waleed is now Gamecat asked, did it come out post 2020? Yes, that's 15. Looper says, does it require analog sticks? No. Alberto Mapam says, does this game include any dogs? No. Greens Amy, man, if I can get your name wrong, man, I'm sorry. Greens Amy 27, cartoony? No. Shapeshifter asks, gyro controls. Like DualShock gyro controls? Not DualShock. I'm just going to answer it that way. Zach Lightning says, Blood and Truth. No, that's 20 questions. Guys, you have 80 questions left. I know you can get this. You've already figured out a little bit about it. Does the game have British accents? No. You guys keep asking the same questions. Maybe I'm just really behind in the chat. Does it have vehicles? Technically, yes. Ian Stanbridge says, is it more of an experience than a game? It really depends on your definition. I would absolutely consider it a game, but I could see how you could probably label it as an experience. 13. Pat First says, is it Bravo Team? No. This is the most ridiculous game of 20 questions ever. So I gotta scroll back every so often. My chat tries to get caught up. Does it use... I already answered about the Analog 6. It doesn't. Is it a game based on a known IP? No. That's 25. Does it have cats in it? I've seen a cat in this game. I'm not sure if that's going to help you, but yes. Did it come out in the first 2 years? All Your Art's History? No. Berber Cat says, did it come out in the first year? I think that also answers your question. Does it have any puzzles? Nicole the Game Cat, we've already answered that. The answer was yes. I won't call that again. Nick the Game Cat, how? As horror? No. We've already answered that. Miles Dyer, does it have rudder support? Just because you're being a dick, I'm counting as a question. No, it doesn't have rudder support. I'm assuming you're just trying to be a dick. In either way, I love it. Does it have multiplayer in any way? Did we answer this already? I'm going to say no. Pretty sure there's no multiplayer whatsoever in this. Chairface gives us 40 questions. I was like, I think you'd all be shit out of luck. You're not working well together. Not based on a known IP. We've already talked about that. Do you drive vehicles? Better question, Move Master Mick. No, you do not drive vehicles in this game. And that is 30 questions. Yeah, I think 100 is way too many. We'll see how this goes. Braxpo, I'm sorry. Sirens on my end. The Gamecat says, does it have a physical release? No. Steve IRE. Actually, is that true? I'm putting a pause on this. Looking it up. Because I think maybe in another territory it does. We're going to find that real quick. Oh my goodness, that's right. So apparently, according to the site that I just checked, there is going to be, I guess, a physical release. I don't know if there's just not announced it, but it's out. It's a game that's out, but not out physically yet. I don't know how many questions that was. I just fucking lost track. What was that? How many questions did I have up? Somebody tell me. Okay. Piotrek, I don't know if it has a pro update or not. We're going to go with 34. Somebody just throw that out there. Is it... does it support the moves? Braxbro, yes. Killa Sam, Wanderer? No. Nihilus Ryan, is it narrative driven? No. Nick the Gamecat House is static? No. Shapeshifter S, is it also playable on the flat screen? No. Braxbro, don't believe it has DualShock 4 support. No, that's 40 questions. Or roughly. I mean, come on. I'm giving you guys a lot of fucking questions here. So we'll just go with that. Looper says, is it cartoony? No. Killa Sam says, Red Matter? No. Nick the Gamecat House says, The Room VR? No. Waleed is now Gamecat, specifically a white tiger, asks, is it puzzling places? And the answer to that question... Well, the answer is yes. But my computer just did something crazy, so I can't... I'm just waiting for it to finish doing its crazy thing. So I can actually bring up the trailer. Puzzling places, I think it was like 45 questions-ish. And you guys worked pretty decently together. Not too shabby, you guys. Puzzling places. That was the most ridiculous game of 20 questions ever, but I'm really happy that you guys got it. So good job. Good job. Good job, you guys. I'm still waiting for the chat to get caught up. But congratulations. That was not easy. Mark Smith says, I knew it. Well, maybe you did. And hopefully I didn't miss your guess at any point. Because that was a lot to keep up with, I'll say I'll definitely say that. That's it, guys. That's it. Hopefully we'll get back to our normal routine on Wednesday with West Day. West Nest Day. I don't know. I still like West Nest Day because it sounds so ridiculous. West Day sounds a little too proper. Ian Stamper says, we're all incredible. Yes, you are all incredible. Guys, don't forget. Don't forget to like the video. If you're watching this after the fact, leave a comment. I wonder if anybody's guessing in the comments what game they think the 20 questions game is. Kill Sam, do you say but no one bought that game? If no one bought Puzzling Places, you're out of your mind. Puzzling Places, I tried to get on the top 25 list, by the way. I love Puzzling Places. But anyway, you guys have an excellent rest of your night. Make sure, I just want to thank everybody, obviously, who supports the channel. Sci-Fi Gamecat Henry, who does all the timestamps, all the moderators who help this channel run, and over on Discord. So join us over on Discord and come join the conversation over there. Jay Meow, of course, who gets this up on podcast services of your choice. Thank you, everybody who donated during the show. You guys are super generous today. I really appreciate it, especially during this hard time. Everyone who supports us on patreon.com/without parole games. Don't forget, guys, we're going to be doing an AMA, which is very similar to what you saw today, except, kind of personal and not PSVR related. We'll be doing that, I think, this Saturday. Will make for a good one. And then AJ and I filmed the first episode of Why We Love PSVR last week. I'm kind of working on the format for that, and we're going to be bringing at least one of those to you every single month for the $5 tiers on patreon.com/without parole games. So thank you to everybody who watched the show. Thank you to everybody who commented, supported us, and of course all of you out there who watched the show and didn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there, and we love you just as much. That's it. Goodbye. Oh crap! I didn't plan on this. This is when we have like a little goofy conversation at the end of the show. Jackass 4.5, man, fucking crazy. I'm gonna go finish that now. It's just as insane as you remember. Pretty crazy. Oh, and yeah, don't forget. Watch the David Letterman things. My next guest. He's so good. And again, I had no interest in watching Billie Eilish or what's his name, Deadpool guy, Ryan Reynolds. But man, those were some really great interviews. Really, if you're not familiar with those artists, the actor and the artist and musician as people, it's a really great watch because I didn't know really anything about them, and it was really fun to watch. But yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys on Discord. Right? Let's do that. Nick Milo says, "Tell me a joke, funny man." I'll tell you a joke. But it won't be till Wednesday because I'm not really good on the spot.